get the questions up?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Hey, everybody. What's up with the party people? I hope everybody's having a great day. We are Brian and Cristina, and we are unlocked on LinkedIn. We are holding our coffee. So to you, I say cheers, Cristina. To the audience,
Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome to the afternoon coffee. Cristina, what's going on? How's your big day going?
You know what? Not too bad. Can't complain. It's been a good day, actually. We're having a heat wave over here in Michigan. It's like 95 degrees, and it stays until like all week. We're going to be like that. So enjoying the air conditioning.
I hear you, heat wave. Like today, it was a little bit cooler here in Atlanta. I'm waiting for it to pop up. It's 89 degrees in Atlanta. Me and the cam man went for a walk, and we didn't.
No,
we didn't. Yeah, me and the cam man, we definitely walked on the grass. We did not walk on the pavement.
I just mean he's in a fur coat.
Well, he's a little guy. He's a little guy. You know, we'll bring him on the show later.
Okay.
So for those of you who are tuning in, this is actually part 2. This is the hook right jab of Day Trading Attention by Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary couldn't be with us today, nor did he say he was going to be here with us. But what we're going to do is we're going to dissect the another section of the book and really get into what it means to day trade attention. Cristina and I have been reading this book. We've been encouraging you to read this book because we think that even before the book came out, we knew that this was going to be a manual on how you hijack attention and how you bring people to you, how you develop brand, and how brand acts as your personal ambassador, if you will, to create trust across the digital ecosystem. I think that's a good way to put it, right? Like that's where I'm jamming out. So let's get fired up. Last week it was a little different. I Q&A'd Cristina, and I think this week Cristina is going to put me in the hot seat. So
yes, it's going to be a little bit different, and I really wanted to not only, so I know we're going through the second half of the book, but it's an overall, like almost like we're reviewing it.
Yeah. Like we got.
I mean, I went down some rabbit holes on Reddit, and like I wanted to see what everyone else was saying before I did some research that brought me to the questions that I'd like to ask.
Okay, party people, let's get fired up.
So I just want to throw the banner up now that please drop a comment. Let us know where you're checking in from. And also we're moving to a bit of a podcast. I don't know if you guys have noticed.
On this, like we've got our podcast on Spotify, and we've had great traction there. We appreciate that you're telling your friends about Unlocked. And I think maybe that's also another change that we're making. Do you want to talk about that, Cristina?
Yeah. So, we started, it was actually the end of October is when we started LinkedIn Unlocked. And as we've begun and worked to find our voice, we have decided that we want to unlock much more beyond LinkedIn. Although LinkedIn is our anchor, we love you. We love you, love. But there are we're in the, and this goes back to the book that we're talking about. Gary V. I've been following Gary V, getting his text messages forever. Like he has been such an influential marketer way before it was a thing. I really think that we're dropping the LinkedIn not only as to like
we're taking a step back so we can take a step forward. We're cutting off that LinkedIn piece because look, you see us now on LinkedIn, and we're going to be here. We're going to still be doing the LinkedIn show, but we want to make sure that we're in your ears on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. We want to make sure we're coming to you live on
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube Shorts, all the different places, because we realize that you're our audience and that we've got a responsibility to go and meet you where you're at, whether it's digitally or at a in-person event, which, shout out to Pam. I remember like 6 weeks ago, I met Pam in person at an event in Atlanta, And the only thing she wanted to talk about, well, she wanted to talk about a lot of things, but the main thing she wanted to talk about was how Cristina was and what Cristina was doing and things like that.
That
And
was a
like,
moment for me on my journey, for sure.
yeah, it's canon event, right? So we've got that. So we're on a journey to make this program better for you, to make it more accessible for you, where you go, where you are, whether it's written content, whether it's visual content, whether it's audio content. We want to put that all out there for you. Hey, Jason, thanks for shouting out where you're from. We know you missed part one. Part two is going to be just on par with part one. I assure you of that. So with any further ado, we've told you about some of the changes we're making. We told you about some of the places where you can find us and where you can go and you can become unlocked. Cristina, let's unlock this. Let's pull this thing apart.
So, we start with just number one. And this book is all about branding and knowing your audience and grabbing attention and standing out, right? So, like, just from the color schemes, I just need to shout out Gary V. Like, I love that combo. I might have to use it. You might see it soon. Anyways, so I want to start with understanding attention. So bear with me here. So Gary V in the book emphasizes the importance of understanding where attention is underpriced.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
All right, here we go. How do you identify and leverage these underpriced attention channels in your marketing strategies?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I'm gonna bring it, of course, to recruiting. Is that when I reach out to developers and engineers on LinkedIn, that's a bad use of my time and a bad use of their time, right? Because we know that developers and engineers, that's not the place that they hang out. That's not where their attention is, right? So if I want to maximize where their attention is, I would go to GitHub or Stack Overflow or Kaggle, to Leak Code, to all these different areas and have a conversation with them there on their terms. And you want to talk about it being underpriced, right? Is that I'm not beating up on anybody, but when people talk about resume databases, right? Like if you're looking for medical professionals, you might want to go to Indeed or you might want to go to Instagram to find those medical professionals because those are places where they hang out. You want to be where people are hanging out, where people are speaking in their language, in their dichotomy. Like I saw this great graph about how buying decisions are made from Generation X is that it's made over email and it's made over YouTube and it's made over websites. But then you go to millennials and it's made over Instagram, it's made over YouTube. And then if you go to Zennials, those decisions and decision makers are tuning in and getting their information from Instagram and from TikTok, right? So you have to go where that community is and then figure out how that attention is underpriced if people are speaking that language, right? Because if you're getting a developer or engineer on LinkedIn, that is really expensive attention that you're going for. Like that's a $10,000 a year LinkedIn license versus
and how often is a developer sitting on LinkedIn, like hanging out?
So developers are hanging out on LinkedIn. It's actually increasing because it is increasing, but it's not to the point where you say this is the place I'd go for a developer first, right? It's there was a Wired article that was talking about AI this week that mentioned that there were 400,000 technologists or engineers that have been displaced because of layoffs in the past 2 years. I would argue that some of those that have been displaced are on LinkedIn, but they're not on LinkedIn for long, right? Because that open to work banner or what have you alerts recruiters that they should go for them. I think that if you're playing that long game, and Gary Vaynerchuk talks about the long game in the book, is that you're going to GitHub and you're creating a relationship there. You're seeing what somebody's coding in. You're seeing that they're doing unique things in Java, that they're doing really unique things in React. And you're having that conversation with them on their terms over email or over DM on their preferred platform.
Absolutely.
And about the DMs, shout out to Ryan Leary. Ryan Leary, if you are listening, Ryan Leary and I were in a bar in San Francisco 7 years ago, and I showed him how to reach out to the. I showed him how. Yes, seven habits. There are lots of things. 7 habits, 7-minute confidence journal. There are a lot of sevens. But 7 years ago, we're hanging out in a bar in San Francisco, and I showed him that you could reach out to a developer over a DM on Instagram, and that you would have more of a likelihood of that developer getting back to you on Instagram than having that developer get back to you on LinkedIn. And I showed it to him in real time. I think there's a video of it around on the web, right? So that is underpriced attention, going where people are not going. And that way you don't have to fight against the noise and produce your signal. Your signal always comes in clear, always comes in clear.
Absolutely. I think that your answer really tied into kind of the explanation. I don't think you meant to do this, but hearing it back of why we're dropping the LinkedIn is meeting people.
We're not dropping LinkedIn. I mean, we still have an audience on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. But we're expanding. Like I'm not disassociating, but I'm totally going live on TikTok back here to get a point of view for my TikTok fans to see podcasting, so they can see that it's just anyone can do it. You can do anything you want if you just try.
Yeah, and I think that's a strong message to have out there. So Cristina, I was going to say about TikTok, like we have like 32,000 views of shit and what have you, and compared to the 70 to 80 people who routinely turn into LinkedIn Live, and we're able to go and speak that language to different audiences on their terms. So about going on and speaking in their terms and having that terminology, Christina's showing you how you can set up real quick and how you can multitask and have that stream kind of go in multiple different directions for us. I think that's really important for us to consider as marketers. And I consider recruiting to be a marketing function because we are the beginning of the spear. We're the individuals that drag in the conversation about what would it be like if you were to consider making a move. What would it be like if you were going to stretch your professional capabilities? What would it be like if you were going to grow in a unorthodox fashion? So we're putting a lot of those things together in the marketing of how we perceive a role or roles, and so that we make sure that we have the right aptitude when we go to market to speak to individuals. Cristina, is that helpful? Does that help with your?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know I was over there getting that set up, but I think it's, just in line with the book and the theme of today's discussion is like how we say flood the zone. Like,
I don't know that everybody knows that you and I say flood the zone and what we mean by that.
Oh, before we get there,
when we say content tsunami either, but it's.
Well, flood the zone, we can get into what that means. Before we do, though, I did receive a message that the link to join wasn't working. So I just want to make sure, Brian, on your end, can you see anything?
Give me 1 second. Let me take a look.
I know Jason commented, but you guys, anybody in the audience that was able to get in, if you're able to comment.
We got 13 people in the zone right now.
Okay, so they're able to find it.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so then I will proceed. All right, and if you see me looking over at another screen, there's a few lives going here. So just I'm paying attention, I promise. But it's really in Gary V has an audio experience, which is kind of along the lines of where we're looking to go. And he does like anywhere from 3 to 15. Sometimes there's 35-minute podcast episodes where he just every day is pumping something out, no matter what. I think he pumps 3 things out a day.
So about that is that, that goes back to the philosophy of flood the zone, is that people say, Brian, why are you posting on LinkedIn 4 or 5 times a day? My audience is looking for that content 4 to 5 times a day, right? If I post in the morning, if I post late in the evening, they're looking for that information. And shout out to Posner. Adam, thank you. We're going to have you on in 2 weeks. for calling that out, to make sure that there is that engagement. As long as you're putting that content out there, you also need to make sure that you're providing value, not just in the terms of the content initially, but in terms of responding to people's comments. So like this morning, Maddie dressed me in a Hawaiian lei. She said that I needed a tie. And I responded to all the comments on that. There were like 120 something engagements. If you're going to post something there, you've got to make sure that you are engaging in the conversation, that you're being an active participant, just like those individuals are being active with you. What do we got going on TikTok? We got anything going on there?
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone's flooding the zone. Hey Ray, hey Robin, hey Gabrielle. Thank you for joining. If you've ever wondered what podcasting looks like, we're doing it live. Okay, I just realized that they had a terrible angle of me. So let's try. That should be better. And sorry for the lighting, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is. We got to work on the lighting. So yeah,
lighting on both of our sides, right?
Right. Yeah, that's definitely on our list. And I'm not going to go there yet. I'm going to go to my next question, if that's okay with you.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
Okay. So this is on the focus of, so there are a few key takeaways around growing online and being strategic about it.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going with this one. Just a little heads up. So when it comes to strategic content production, like you just said, you post 4 times a day. Your audience on LinkedIn is waiting for that content. And I was thinking earlier to myself, Brian posted something this morning. Within an hour, he had like 29 likes and over 13 comments, something bizarre. Like for an hour, you have built your audience to expect that from you. So it makes sense. And I say this a lot, that this kind of growth takes time, but if anybody can answer some questions about strategic content production, I think it's you.
All right. So real quick, I had a shout out to Shira Van Straten. We had a conversation a few days ago where I was like, you just need to do little things. You need to do incremental little devices to move the needle and to have conversations with people. Gary talks in his book a lot about consistency, and that's what I'm talking about by building those little portions. One of the things though that Gary said in the book, and the book's been out for about 2 weeks now, so this goes back to Shira's and my conversation, is I really think that I lost focus on who I was trying to communicate with, who I was trying to have a conversation with.
Target audience.
Yeah. And so on my Substack, I talk about everything from HR and talent acquisition, which are 2 different things.
And what is that Substack called, and where can you find it to subscribe?
Forward Motion, FWD Motion on Substack. Yeah. There are almost 90 articles on the Substack. I write about it every single day. I've only missed 1 day. And I don't know that anybody noticed except for me that I missed that 1 day. And I'm talking about everything from, so I kind of went off in a direction where I was talking about entrepreneurship, because like I'm enamored with. Yeah. So like I'm enamored with entrepreneurs, right? Like those are the autobiographies that I read. Those are the biographies that I read. Those are the people that I hang out with most of the time, right? So they're the doers. They create this kind of cult of personality around their organization. Nonetheless, I digress, is that with this instance and with this facility, we've got an opportunity to really dig in around HR and TA topics. And that's what I've taken my focus back to doing. So I've talked about culture. I think people know that I think culture can be weaponized. It can be poisonous to individuals. As much as it does to attract individuals, it does a lot to repel individuals. I will be speaking about culture, branding, and sourcing coming up on the 24th at, I don't know. I got to get an image for that event, but I will be talking about the culmination of those 3 coming up.
That event needs help with an image. You know who to
Help with it.
call.
I'll get you in contact with Jody. You guys should have a conversation. So there's that piece of it. I digress. I really think that what I've tried to do now for the past 2 weeks is curtail my content to make it actionable by talent acquisition professionals and practitioners. I realize that not everything I've said has resonated, especially around DEI. Like, there's, we're in Pride Month, and I feel like companies like threw up a symbol about pride, but they didn't do anything to promote inclusion. And with Juneteenth being tomorrow and Loving Day was last week, I don't mean to go all woke on everybody, but I'm just like, where's the intentionality and authenticity behind this branding and this conversation? But that's another point for another time. I don't want to go off topic.
I will command Z that, and we will put a pin in that for later, because I will go down that rabbit hole with you. I would love to dive in.
I know you got a battle with me on that.
Because you're
with me, but battle side by side.
Yeah.
Caveman.
So let me bring you back to the strategic content production I was talking about. So, like, creating relevant, keyword relevant, and strategic content is a key takeaway from the book, right? What steps do you take to ensure your content remains engaging and relevant to your audience? So I know you kind of mentioned a little bit, but can you dig it?
Yeah, so Gary and I take a different approach on this. Is that
let's hear your approach.
All right, so I use Google Trends and Google Alerts. So Google Trends, you can go to and you can find out like whatever's trending along the internet, not just what's trending on LinkedIn. So like I'll type in a keyword or I'll type in a phrase. Hell yeah.
Unlocked Google Trends for me. I'd been in recruitment for like 7 years and never even heard of using Google Trends. It was crazy.
So we've got that, but then there's Google Alerts, right? So Google Alerts, there are key things that are important to me that I want to make sure that Google brings me every day an email about what's going on, right? So like if a startup that I'm following gets a funding round, I want to make sure that I get an email about it as soon as that funding round hits Google. And that's how Google Alert works, right? Alternatively, is that when somebody enters the chat or starts a conversation in TA about something like I wrote an article like discrimination, right? Or ageism, and using ageism, I have that as an alert because I'm always on the lookout so I can have a great conversation with Joe Leach or with Torrin Ellis about that level of discrimination. And then it came up and I was just like, dude, ageism and saying you're not a cultural fit is the new ageism. It's the way to push people out and to make sure that everybody invokes this kind of sameness and homogenization. So those are the two things that like use Google. I mean, here's the deal, guys. There was a huge article that came out about 10 days ago that talked about how Google's Chrome browser is actually the reason that SEO works on Google so well, is that they're able to track all that data and all that Google Trends, not just from the search bar, but from what you're also doing in incognito. That's right, people. Incognito knows that you like to party in a tuxedo. All right. So like those are different elements that you want to kind of play with and explore.
I have a joke for you later.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. All right. A Google incognito joke. An incognito joke. Hey,
I'm gonna command Z there too.
Can I tell you a joke that Maddie told me?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a dad joke, so it's really bad. Is that
pause. Dad joke is that's Daryl said something. Daryl, who was usually here, I'm sure he's here. Shout out Daryl. Made the same comment. Dad joke, and that is just like it's not feeling very confident, Oh,
no. I feel confident about it. It was
cool.
Okay. I've made a list of 7,400 topics that you want us to unlock. Daryl, send the list. Let's get this party started. But the dad joke is, Christina, how does a Jewish dad make coffee?
Can I remember Who Wants to Be a
Brews it.
Millionaire?
Brews it.
Wait, he brews it.
He
Oh,
brews it.
oh my gosh.
All right. So Maddie came home with that joke. All right. So that's it.
Maddie?
Yeah, Maddie came home with that joke, and I was like, okay, that's cool.
That's awesome. Also curious where the source came from.
Hey man, I'm just happy that we're telling dad jokes, right? That she gets on the
Yeah.
phone. She likes to riff with Michael Goldberg on that. Shout out to Michael Goldberg if he's listening. You know, hey, we're gonna, yeah, we love that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. And I think the company that he is working for, they had a big event not too long ago, and there were some really cool pictures and videos that he had posted.
Yeah,
So
U.S. Renal Care. That's absolutely right. And you talk about those pictures. So maybe we should go back to the picture element and say that when you post a picture, you are showing an authentic depiction of who you are and what you're doing. You know, you're not going for the glamour shot of the 80s.
yeah.
Shout out to the glamour shot. You know, everybody had their glamour shots in the 80s. It's all good. Mall glamour shots.
Well,
Can you believe franchise like somebody was like, we're going to compete against Olin Mills and we're going to have glamour shots, but like what? I totally sidelined on that. We'll put it.
no, I love it. I love it. I love that we're sitting here. Usually I'm the one rambling, and I've been told that Brian brings me back, and I'm bringing you back today. So let it. I love this. This is so fun for me. So I kind of want to get on to this next influencer marketing type vibe, because he discusses the role, and by he I mean the famous
GV.
GV. Honestly, he said some. Before I get into this question, let me just say something. His audio experience, he was being interviewed, and the person that was interviewing him was like, mentioned his newly released book, Day Trading Attention, and he responds with, "Oh, you mean the greatest book ever released?" Like, and it was an audio experience. I couldn't see him, but I could hear him, and I could hear in his tone.
Smile. You can hear that smile.
The perfect combination of humility and confidence. And like, I just feel like that's the goal, with content and speaking, is to, be able to kind of self-promote and not feel bad about it, but be humble and show humility and authenticity in your work. So just wanted to throw that out there. But anyways,
you bring up a good point, right? Is it like, look, Gary does not have to produce content every single day. He does not. He doesn't have to do it. He is working with some of the biggest brands in the world to make them relevant in a Web 3.0 environment, right? He is doing all those things. But you bring up humility, right? Like, you get on to me sometime, you're like, Brian, you did too many trainings this month, right? Like, you've said that, right? Okay, so I'm trying to elevate the recruiting game. I've got a job. I'm a happy guy. I'm kicking butt. I bring great people to do great things and build great products. Long story short is, you have to give. Like, I think that was the impetus of the book that he published like 7 years ago. Jab, right hook, is that, and if you will, the prequel to this book is that you have to give. And when you give, if you give in an authentic way, you invoke humility. If you don't give in an authentic way, people are going to smell that shit, and they're going to know that you are a disingenuous fuck. I didn't say it. I spelled it today. All right.
Listen, we have never claimed to be the most professional podcast on the market. Okay.
Yeah, that's Chad and Cheese. Chad and Cheese is the most professional podcast on the market.
Yeah, we're definitely, on the border, the gray area, if you will.
Gray Jedi.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pivot and again to the influencer marketing. Now, Gary Vee discusses the role of influencer marketing in brand building. Now, a lot of words. So the words that are that have stuck out to me in his book. I don't know which one stuck out to you, but the interest graph, which we can touch on.
We should go deep
We
on
need a
that.
whole episode for the interest graph and just the proof in the pudding that, hey, we were like a way ahead of the curve with that, like October 2023, and like looking at the algorithms, and you know what I mean? Like that was just the interest graph, relevancy,
Well,
attention.
SEO thing, but keep going, keep going.
But so influencer marketing and brand building. Now, Brian, keep in mind you're speaking to somebody who does product promotions on TikTok. So
Okay, so Gary Vaynerchuk missed the best opportunity to talk about influencer marketing in his book. He
tell me
missed
more.
the absolute best opportunity. So, Gary, if you're listening, I want you to take this away from me, is that every pizza restaurant in America, every mom and pop pizza restaurant should be supporting a little league baseball team, cheerleading squad, volleyball team, what have you. And the reason being is that those kids are the number one influencers at their school and in their parents' lives and in the lives and neighborhoods across America. You want to get somebody into a small mom and pop restaurant, you sponsor a small little league team, volleyball team, cheerleading squad. You go deep on that. If you will go deep on that, yeah, like what's the deal? Like, I'm from Albany, Georgia. We have Luke Bryan, we have Cole Swindell, we have all these country music greats, right?
Mm-hmm.
I tell you who's more important than all those country music greats: the kids who played baseball on those little league teams and what they mean to the community, right? That's huge. So I think that's a point that Gary missed. He is that
valid, fair, agree, fair enough.
Like an
he jumped
influence.
straight to like the artificial.
Well, I mean,
influence.
here's the thing: is that you could have, and he makes this point, is that you could have a lot of people that are in a community that are micro influencers, right? I can't think of anybody more micro than the Pee Wee baseball team. I'm just saying.
I mean, you make a very valid point.
Yeah. So I think he missed that, right? Like, I don't recommend that his dad's liquor store should have used children in their advertising, of course. Like, that wouldn't make sense. But like the pizza place, like, come on, we can get behind that. The hamburger restaurant, NFA Burger, come on.
I mean, so I was kind of talking about how, brands are using influencers to send samples and for them to promote their products, right? Products or services. Sure. It's kind of like what I do on TikTok. Not no shame plug, because I have no shame. You can follow me at Cristina the Connect. There's no H in my name, so Cristina CR, no H. The Connect. I review beauty products, skincare, tech, and what Gary claims is that basically these brands are going to get sick and tired of us and they're going to create their own AI influencers.
Yeah, like I get that.
And it's like, I don't like that idea, Gary V. I love AI, but I don't like that.
So here's the thing, is that this goes back to creating a sustainable, tangible moment. I want to go back and I want to talk about Pam, who comes up to me and says, Brian, I love the show. How is Cristina? That is a tangible moment, right? Is that
absolutely.
you are going to be able to make AI images and AI this and AI that, and you're going to be able to pump it out. But what is going to happen, though, is that those real instances where something magical happens and you affect somebody and you change the way that they feel, that will not be duplicated by AI. We will not lose our humanity to that.
No, I don't. There's no way. I do think I'm getting off track. Let me
actually, Cristina, I think there is a way. Like, if you sit there with the Apple goggles, with the Vision Pro on the entire time, and you don't listen to anybody else, but you just go down that rabbit hole of Apple Google goggles. By the way, that thing is awesome. I love it. I enjoyed wearing it. but it is a $3,600 prophylactic. Okay. Like you are never going to mate or reproduce if you wear that thing. Yeah,
It reminds me of that creepy movie that, remember, I can't think of what it's called, but he's like a gamer, and then he sits down in the chair, and then it's like he's in a whole new world, and then he gets like addicted to it and doesn't want to come out.
Oh, I was thinking you were talking about Ready Player One, but I don't know. I mean, like Ready Player One was good, but I don't know which. I think you just also described The Matrix.
Well, that too.
Yeah, it's all good.
So let's just skip over that whole AI influencer. I think
we can talk about the AI influencer. I mean, look, like I think that you've got to learn how to prompt, but I also think that you've got to learn to establish what makes you feel an emotion and what's synthetic and what's real, right? Like, yeah. I mean, it's just yeah.
The reason why I say that is because while reading the book, you and I have both, me admittedly a little bit more in the audio experience, but he mentioned today about how he says, and I quote, I talk about today and the world is living in yesterday.
Oh, that's hot.
I know, right? Real hot. We're talking about the book, but his audio experience is episodes that are pre-recorded. So he has it before he released it, because he's a content machine, right? He's got everything scheduled, and he's, giving little tidbits while I'm reading the book. And it's just like, it ties back to us and our purpose here on Unlocked, to unlock the information and resources and confidence to achieve the life of your dreams, and to build great content in the process while helping others achieve their goals. That's in a nutshell. But that was really that like, I wrote it down. I stopped my workout to write that down, because I feel like we are told a lot that we're ahead of the curve. Like, we kind of started this thing.
But dude, like, I think that when people are telling you you're ahead of the curve, sometimes they're blowing gas up, right?
They are, for sure they are.
Like, I mean, that quote that Gary Vee you just recited, like, I haven't listened today. I've been on.
I didn't want to send it and be pushy on the day of live, but yeah, but he says that, and then another thing that he said was, there's an architect and a mason are two different things. And I wrote it down here because you're my handheld. I don't understand what he means by a mason.
Oh, okay, dude. A mason is the person who so what he's referring to is he's referring to the person who actually lays the bricks and makes sure that the bricks are straight. A mason, is historically
does the job.
Yeah, is the person who does the job. They're the builder, right? I mean, you've got the architect, but then you've also got the people who frame the house, the people who lay the foundation, and the mason, more times than not, are the people who build the foundation. If you don't have a strong foundation, you ain't got shit.
Period. Love that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought that was something very potent, but I just wasn't clear on his meaning.
Potent, not impotent, potent.
Potent. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just over here and get to I'm skipping over paid media advertising for right now.
We can talk about paid media advertising. What do you want to talk about? Or do you want to skip it and come back to it? You tell me which one to do.
I kind of want to skip it and come back to it. Or, you know what? Let's just do it. How do you approach paid media advertising to maximize ROI, return on investment? And what platforms have you found to be most effective in reaching your target audience?
Okay, so real quick, if I've got a question about paid media, there's only one guy that I call, and that's Josh Bernie Bernstein. You've heard me refer to Bernie before, right? Like, if I've got a question about whether or not Google Trends. Yep, absolutely, 100%. Tep till I die. Is that Bernie is one of the very best pay-per-click advertising people in the world. That's not hyperbole. He works with some major brands, and they work with him, right? So I go to him for those kind of questions. I go to him when I want to do a targeted campaign, or I wanted him to teach me how to do a targeted campaign on LinkedIn, or I wanted him to teach me how to do a targeted campaign on Facebook. Facebook targeted campaigns are incredibly crazy about the depth and breadth that you can go to, how specific you can get. I was once working with a retailer, advising the retailer. We'll say that they're a retailer that's a national retailer, that their colors may or may not be orange and white. Is that they were looking for people to staff their floors as managers. And what I did was I built a campaign that found those managers in a geolocation in the proximity down to the geo of where they were working in the store, so they could be targeted with ads to come to work at that company, specifically when they were at work hating their job on Monday. And we did that on Facebook. So that's how I use PMA. That's how I use PMA is positive mental attitude. That's how I use PPC, SEM. Yeah, that's the gamut. And the thing that Gary talks about in the book that I really did like was the fact that if you've got a creative, or you've got something that runs really, really well and organic, it's that thing that you should put money behind and have that conversation. So yeah, like, guys, it's a good book. Like, pick it up. Like, the other book that I'm reading right now is Ryan Holiday's third in the series of the Stoic Virtues. Right Thing Right Now. I know, girl, I send you books, right? So
I know, but I'm hiding the title because suspense.
Okay, that's fine. We can do that another time. But the reality, yeah, that's it. It's Brian and Cristina sell a bunch of books. Yippee. Speaking of books, I'm going to plug something real quick, is that I am 17 copies away from selling 5,000 copies of Talk Tech to Me. And Talk Tech to Me's birthday is Thursday.
It's when?
Thursday.
That's
I'm
wild to me.
5,000. Yeah, I know. I wasn't supposed to sell more than 1,300 copies of that book, right? Can we put the names of the books in the chat? I'm going to try to do that.
I have them right here, bannered up top. Talk Tech to Me. I will put the Amazon links in the chat. I have it.
Cool.
There's a banner.
Okay. While Christina's doing that, I want to thank everybody who's on this live who has purchased the book, either one of the books. The Main Thing is the Main Thing, which came out around the first of the year. But Talk Tech to Me was something I worked on for about 3 years. God knows, it's either you're going to use it to be one hell of a tech recruiter, or you're going to use it as a doorstop. You can take your pick. It's a huge book. Or you could use it as a booster seat instead of a phone book, because they don't make phone books anymore. That's just kind of the reality that you could jump into there. And I am working on, I got about 30 pages of it knocked out and outlined for the sequel to Talk Tech to Me. So I don't know when that's going to drop, but I'm working on it hard. I'm working on it diligently to get things up and running.
Do you want me to put The Main Thing is the Main Thing in here too?
Yeah, you can put that in there. I'm proud of that book. It's really a quick read. You can read it in like 3 hours. It's really about focus for for individuals to kind of, it is the manual of how I wrote Talk Tech to Me. And
funny you say that, because 1 second here, copy link. Now
that's going to be the soundbite.
Oh, are these not going through? Can somebody let me know if the comments I'm putting in
I did it.
Are going in as so? And then I just have one more, and we'll have all of our books up there. The main thing was one of my favorite things you've ever written. I felt like it was written for me, as selfish as that sounds.
Well, dude, you know, well, so that, but that goes back to it, right? Is it like when I make content, I'm trying to make content. Look, I write every day because I got into the habit of writing every day. And so sometimes I know that I miss the mark, but like I'm trying to motivate people. Like, I don't think that we're going like, okay, like, you know, there's certain people on this call that know how I feel about this. Is I don't think that we're going through the greatest, we're going through a rough patch right now uh, around the world in terms of
Mhm.
confidence. One of the reasons why I think Christina's book is so vitally important. One of the things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to uplift the recruiting community. It's hard to be a member of the tech recruiting community right now when you see that 400,000 jobs were displaced over the past 2 years in layoffs in big tech, and that there are only like 7,000 of them coming back every month. That means that the trajectory we're on, it's going to take 4 more years for us to break even, right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm not making up the numbers. I'm not making up the math. It's being reported by Wired Magazine. It's being reported by Business Insider. It's being reported by the Wall Street Journal. It's being reported by the U.S. Census Bureau, right? Like these are, it's reality numbers. And so a lot of the content that I put out sometimes is rah-rah because I believe that you get to choose your economy and you get to choose your identity and you get to choose who you are and how you respond to things and what takes up space in your heart and in your head and your soul. And I wrote the main thing is the main thing because I want you to go forth and I want you to take names and kick ass. That's it.
Yeah. Uh, it made me take names and kick ass, I'll tell you that. I
Mhm.
think that the main thing is the main thing really did help me to open up space in my mind for the idea of a journal, of reflective journaling to do for myself. And I don't think, had I not read that, I don't think I would have produced it. I don't think I would have put it out there for the world. So, with that being said, we're authors, and I kind of like that. I just all I can think of in my head is that GIF of the world on fire and
Oh
authors
yeah,
and be
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
"Anyone want to buy a book?"
I took that from Ryan Holiday. I took that from
I
Ryan
love
Holiday.
that. That is awesome. But let me get back. I want to. This is a trick question because I
Do
can't
you want me
answer
to
it.
do it? You want me to do a trick? Would that
Yeah,
amuse you, Christina? Would that amuse you?
that's awful. No, it's just algorithms. I'm still, we come on here. I'm no expert, but I am a devoted, disciplined learner. I am devoted to upskilling myself for myself and for all of you. And so when we talk about algorithms, it's just they're always changing.
They're always
So
changing, but it goes back to your comment about the interest graph, right? So
exactly.
real quick, can we define what the interest graph is for everybody who has not read the book yet, or people who don't play on TikTok?
Absolutely. You know what, Command Z, can you tell us, Brian, so there's the interest graph, and then there is the social graph, which is kind of pre.
Yeah, it's different.
Can
So
you
let me.
explain that to us?
All right, so I'm going to talk about the social graph first. The social graph is basically like the intersecting lines of plaid on a tartan, right? Is that the edges of what people are interested in cross over each other, and that's how you get the idea as to who you're going to target. And we all know that I hate the word target because I do not believe that. I believe we're human beings. We're not meant to be targeted, right? But the interest graph instead is not what you vested your like about previously. It's about where you're taking the conversation next, right? So if you're on TikTok, which focuses on the interest graph and everybody's trying to catch up with it, and you say that you don't like a video, but you watch a number of videos, it's going to serve you videos that are more conducive to your interest, right? So if you so
Not
like
to the influencers we follow.
yeah, exactly. Like, look, I show Maddie videos of penguins on TikTok, right? 9 out of 10 videos that I get on TikTok are about penguins from the Auckland Zoo, about penguins that are just walking around, or new baby penguins, or penguin this or penguin that. And then every now and then I get a video about a car because I look at cars and penguins on TikTok, right?
That shows how little you use it, right?
I know, right? Right. So I get, well, but like, you know,
Your
like,
For You page is consistently being it's for you. And I don't know if I'm like giving this knowledge away,
like
but
giving
Gary
away.
Vee said it himself. LinkedIn, we're going to For You page. We are on our way there. And if you don't believe me, you will soon. Trust me. Like, video beta is no longer beta. And
No, it still is beta. Allie doesn't have it. Allie does. Sorry, my wife does not have video beta, and she's a paid subscriber on LinkedIn too. So
has she updated her?
yeah, because we got her the new phone the other day.
It's rolling out. It is rolling out for everyone.
Well, I mean,
in the US, I can guarantee.
Well, but hold on. On the flip side of it, we have different versions of premium that are rolling out concurrently, right? So, like, I sat down with some people the other day and said, and Christina, you know, the feature that you were like, well, mine does this and yours only does half of that, where I can flip the button to see who's hiring. And you were like, well, I can look and see who's hiring for what job titles, right?
Yeah, that was a fun moment for me.
Okay, dude, mine now does the hiring by job titles, right? And so, like,
maybe
if you go
unlock
to
that next level.
yeah, if you go to Allie's doesn't do that, right? So like when I'm making presentations about showing people how to use LinkedIn paid or LinkedIn premium or LinkedIn freemium, I'm toggling between all these different subscriptions now to be able to show people what they can and cannot do.
Yeah. And I think, again, with the algorithms consistently changing across multiple platforms, like you mentioned Google Alerts, right? So like what strategies or what practices do you use to stay ahead and ensure your content gets maximum visibility? Because visibility is one of the keys.
Dude, I'm testing different times. Like, you know,
You mean post times, the scheduled times you post?
No. I'm testing post times. I'm testing content names. So I post on Medium. I post on Substack. I post at different times of the day. I post on LinkedIn. I may publish the same content on the different platforms.
Twitter too, don't you?
Yeah, I do Twitter as well. I do X.
X. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Props to Elon. Is that X, Instagram? You know, I try to post a different variant of all the content on different networks, different times. So I got a spreadsheet that I'm running things on. I'm looking at using Adobe Access to be able to publish to three at a time. Adobe Access. Real quick, everybody knows that. I mean, sorry, I keep calling it Access. I was saying this to Christina today, and she's like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
I was Googling. I was not Googling, but I was looking it up, and the only thing I could find was Adobe Access presentation from 2014. I was like, "What is he talking about?"
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
Express.
Adobe Express is that for the free version, you can do the analytics on posts on one social network. For the paid version, you can do 3, or you can do up to 6 if you share it with a team. Those are the paid versions of it, right? So
can you tell us what the price was for the team? Just out of curiosity.
I think it's $77 a year per person for a minimum of 2 people. So it's $158 or $154.
77.
Yeah, 154. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the tools,
right.
We need to value our tools.
See, the thing about the tools though is that like the analytics, like once you get past 10,000 people on LinkedIn, you get analytics. You can get and know what's going on and how things are growing.
They don't do that anymore. You get analytics with 500 followers, but they're just not as, yeah, you do.
Huh.
And so if you're in the audience and you log into your LinkedIn and it tells you like to finish setting up, like maybe a part that you haven't set up, or set it up. One
Set it up.
thing that,
Set it up
yeah,
now.
once you set up your LinkedIn profile for success, it will unlock those capabilities. I have a case study where I was looking at adding a request service button, and I was not the drop down wouldn't give me that. It only gave me the option to like book an appointment. And I was so frustrated, and I said, I'm just going to go back to that later. And I, played around with my LinkedIn profile, and then went back, and boom, request services was there. So I know we've talked about this before, but like maintaining the maintenance of your profile and edits, and that, keeps you relevant and visible, right?
Absolutely. And relevancy is the name of the game, right? Like if you're not relevant, people are going to swipe left or swipe right or whatever the hell they do on Tinder. They're going to swipe and boom, you're going to be gone. That thing's going to be over.
I think it's if you swipe left, you're like, nah. Swipe right is like, ooh, maybe. But I, not very experienced there. But anyway, let me get, we are at, is it 5 o'clock?
It's a time, but let's keep going, man. Let's dun 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 dun.
Okay, I have, will it kick us off?
I don't know if it kicks us
All right,
off.
let's try it. Okay, so building brand and sales.
If
Stick
you
with
build
me.
brand, you don't need to have a sales team. It's that simple.
Command Z. Okay. So Gary Vee's book aims to help readers build brand and sales simultaneously. Can you share an example of a campaign that successfully achieved both objectives?
Yeah. Shout out to Brooke Allen at Recruiting Daily. Is that Brooke, unbeknownst to me, Brooke made she made an image of my book, and she put it as #1 in knowledge economy, which it was for a really long time. She
created
dropped
a graphic for you.
She created the graphic. She dropped it in an email, ran an email campaign, ran a social campaign, and it wasn't until somebody was like, "Hey, dude, this is awesome."
To you.
Yeah. So like,
I
yeah,
remember.
and like, it's like Christina, when you dropped yours and you dropped a picture of you holding the book with your hair in the bun and everything.
Yeah, that was, for everyone that doesn't know, that is my highest performing post on LinkedIn. And I have just celebrated my 10-year anniversary committed to LinkedIn, the longest relationship I've ever had. And yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that, because I just
Commit to the LinkedIn. But
commit to the LinkedIn, and
actually, it's commit to something. Commit to something bigger than yourself. Learn what it is saying. Speak the language. Gary Vee, just from the minute go, when he rips the Band-Aid off and he starts talking about TikTok, and then he jumps to LinkedIn Shorts. To LinkedIn, and then he jumps to YouTube Shorts. He is going deep on each one of those elements, and he is asking you to commit to becoming a master student, not a master builder, a master student of that platform. That's what I got.
And I think, I'm always pushing people. I'm a pusher. I push people. I say this like repetitively in every episode now. But I think, there are so many tools to be learning right now. There are so many ways. If you're here on the audience with us now live, or if you go through my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I post free courses that get unlocked through LinkedIn Learning. And when I post those, I actually am seriously encouraging you to take advantage of the free learning, and that doing that course gives you a little reward that you can tie onto your profile, and in roles and education and volunteer work that you've done to better oomph your professional appeal.
Christina, when I think about the oomph, we've talked about this before. We're heading to a skills-based economy. And the best way to create that skills-based economy future is by adding skills to your resume of shit that you've actually done, as opposed to things that you say you want to do.
And you know what? That right there is the sauce. And I'm going to tell you why. we are sitting here live. Okay. We have TikTok here. Hello, everyone. We are live on YouTube as well and LinkedIn. And what we're doing now is we're here now because of consistent small daily habits to get to here. Okay.
Yeah.
When we started without knowing, we didn't even have an instruction manual to build the plane. We just had like one wing and somebody's recommendation, and we were like, let's go.
Yeah.
So we've been learning as we go. So if you think that, oh, this is too analytical, or this is too creative, or this is too out there for me, I can't possibly be a graphic designer. I'm a recruiter. Think again. Because I am living proof that, you can dedicate time. Doesn't have to be a lot of time, but consistently over time to practice and become better at a skill that you had no business do. Like I didn't
Okay.
even.
So Cristina, I'm gonna wrap this up real quick in what you just said. You and I talk about experience all the time. Would you rather have a guy who has picked up a baseball bat and swung it 30 times and missed the ball, or would you rather have a guy who's only hit the ball one time? I'm going to say I want the person who swung the bat 30 times, and they.
I didn't even need you to finish because I already knew that was my answer.
Go for it. Boom. Yeah, you knew it.
As long as he's picked it up 30 times, that could be as simple. I golfed with Daryl on Friday, and it was the first time I was out there for this year, and I was really nervous because we were with his uncle, and people are either really, really, really good at golf, or they're tend to be just like, not that great.
I don't want to brag, but I don't know how to play golf.
Well, I don't want to brag, but I'm not that great. And I say I'm not that great. But one thing, I can drive like a MF. Okay.
All right. So speaking of drive, real quick, we've given a shout out to Gary Vaynerchuk for 2 episodes. We've promoted his book. He didn't need us, but we tried to leverage our network and to be that micro influencer. Gary, we're at 17 episodes. By the time we get to 100, we want you to be our 100th episode. We look forward to having you. That's our goal. That's our agenda. Cristina, you got anything to add to the show?
Not just tagging in one more time, so he hears that we have a goal of getting you on at our 100th episode. So we have quite a few episodes to go, but yeah, we're going to have a few transitions. It may be a little bit of a bumpy ride, guys, but we're getting to Apple Podcasts soon. I promise.
Awesome sauce. Cristina, You've been a delight today. I hope that you had fun. I had fun.
I had a great time.
Everybody in the audience had fun. We will see you next week.
Thanks, TikTok, for joining. And
thanks, TikTok. Thank you, YouTube.
See you next week.
Bye.